So we're going to get started. I'm just reading your chat, Donna. You're the new communications rep for Northwest. Glad you're here, Donna. I'm Tracy Dietrich, and I'm sorry, I'm really stuffed up, and I will try not to sniffle too much for you all as we're going through this. But I will be recording this session so that we can share it with other leaders across the province. So first off, we'll just, if you guys would all unmute, we'll do the pledge first. So I pledge my head to clear
thinking,
my
my heart
to
to greater loyalty,
loyalty,
my
my
hands
hands to larger service,
and my
health to better
better
living,
living,
for my
for
club,
my club, my
my
community, my
my
country,
and
my
my
world.
world.
Perfect. Thank you. So this is going to this is a little different session than what I've done if any of you have joined some of the other project sessions, because we've gone through standards and we've talked about specific projects, but of course with communication we can't do that. It's a little different, but I am going to show you the resources, where the resources can be found, and then I want this to be really interactive. So we do have Chris Patton on here, who is the chairman of the communication committee. And for some of you that are older and then newer, there never used to be a communication committee. The ones that worked for the government, Cameron just did the provincial communication event, and he never really asked for any help. Myself, I've chose to involve members from each region. So each region has a person on the communications committee, just so that they can bring forth problems that may arise, or that there is somebody that can connect with the whole committee and we can talk things out as far as rules or other things that may come up during communications. So I will share the screen with you. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is the rules and guidelines. So there is public speaking rules and guidelines for both public speaking and presentations. And we've gone through these a lot, and there sometimes is some they're hard to read at times, and the interpretation can be different for some people. But if you're having trouble interpreting these, please email myself at programs, and I will help you, or I will bring in your communications rep from your region, and we will work through that in order for you to help with any of the rules or whatnot. We have shortened these so they're not so overwhelming, but it just, and when I say shorten them, it's just because I changed the text and stuff. So instead of bigger text, I've made it a little smaller, and it's not so overwhelming. And then there, of course, is the presentation rules and guidelines, which we adhere to at the provincial level. Is there any question about these? Is everybody familiar with the website, and you know where to find these on the website? Is there any questions about that?
Is there anything glaringly new in the rules this year or changes that we need to be aware of?
No, there is not. Chris, am I wrong? We never changed anything.
We just made a few things clearer. Instead of
mays or will,
Yes.
we put can. So just the wording is the same. It's just we clarified things because there were some questions about it. So that's basically it. Oh, and the points, the deductions. There's a
Yeah.
few changes in that, but they're minor things, and they've all been highlighted in black.
So yeah, so like wherever there's a point deduction, those things said could result or may result, and we took that out and said will or that's what's going to happen, right? So it's easier for an organizing committee to say, no, this is what happens. Okay. Is there any other questions about the rules? Okay, so the other thing I want to show you is that there is the non-competitive guidelines on the website. And we all know that some kids, might not want to compete. They're not comfortable with it. And we just want our 4-H members to succeed at public speaking. And so we have come up with these guidelines that enable a member that doesn't want to speak, and it gives 4-H club leaders some ideas and what is required. So I don't know if you want me to read this. Please remember that all club communication competition types require a motion and passing of the motion by club members. We all know that public communication is a requirement, but if they choose not to do a speech where they're marked and compared to the other kids, then they have to do a 3-minute communication activity that is prepared and presented by the member. Each member will receive feedback that is written or verbal, and they don't have to do a traditional impromptu. The judge can ask a question that just to encourage the skill development of impromptus, so that maybe next year that they would change their mind and they would try that. A club must provide an opportunity to share with other club members to view and give support to the 4-H member presenting. A member can pick what type of communication activity they would like to present. Some examples are a prepared speech or a presentation, member-led workshop, virtual or in-person interviews, a debate, monologue, or a video. I think too, the other thing that I strongly encourage is at your clubs when you're preparing for speeches, that you always, like the month before or 2 months before, that you make time for kids to get up and give a speech. It doesn't matter how long, but if they start that way, that seems to help quite a bit. So this sheet, these non-competitive guidelines are on this page on the website. So it's the communication page. It talks about the activities. And then we have the resources there, speaking your way to success, a step-by-step instructions, how to MC, speaking your way to success, and then the guidelines for the non-competitive communication activity. Also on this page, there are the Alta Link banners, because Alta Link is a major sponsor of our communication events. But there was also the Alta Link banner on your club supply order this year, so that you could order it there. All right. Another great resource that we have is our YouTube channel. I am working with Shane so that we can get this cleaned up and that things are easier to find. If you go to the community engagement and communications playlist, in this playlist, we have a couple of public speaking workshops that past ambassadors or current ambassadors have done for us, that are really quite good, and I would encourage you to tell your kids to watch it. Successful communications and all about presentations are really good, and it just gives an insight to those kids that are maybe struggling with any parts of their speech. The other one that we have here is the How to Plan a Communication event, which Chris and I did here.
Hi there. I'll get a teen burger and a small root beer, please.
For sure, and that's everything.
The How to Plan a Communication event actually is slides describing the things to do while you're planning a communication event. So if there's anybody that's here tonight that has that coming up and you're in charge of planning your communication event, that's a really good tool too for you to just give a quick watch to. It's a half an hour, not too bad. There, of course, is also the resources, the organizer's guide, which is in the download section of the website, and it gives us step-by-step instructions on how to do your organizing, and also your timelines for things. And like I said, that's in the download section, along with judges sheets, timer sheets, and that kind of stuff. Let's see if I'll get that page up, and then so this is the download section. Probably one of my least favorite pages because we can't. It's not like I can just send you guys a link to sometimes to the PDF. It just comes as to the downloads, and then you have to still find it. So that's a bit frustrating, but in the presentation section, there is all the comment sheets, ones that you can fill in. So then you're not filling them in, but you can do it on your computer. We also have the organizer's guide and the rules and guidelines. And the same for the public speaking. Also on the public speaking, or in here, is their source form. I think we've been through this a number of times, that at a speaker is to fill this out at every level. So even at club level, the speaker should be bringing this to the club leader. And then after the competition, they are given that back. And if they go on, then they take this again with them to the next level of competition, right up to provincial level. Is there any questions about this little baby?
So are we supposed to keep those as organizing committees, and they're supposed to do new ones the next time they go to the next level?
No.
We give them back
You
to
give
them?
them back to them, and then they can take it to the next level.
Very good. And sorry, Tracy, can you help with finding that communications, non-communication
I sure can.
guideline? That's the one I'm not finding.
Okay,
With the quote sheet, something we've had questions on at different levels. Some say that they have to hand in a quote sheet regardless if they're using a quote or not. What is the final rule on that?
Chris?
Yes, they should.
Yeah.
They could just write on it none. We're just trying to teach them as they get older, they will have resources. So we want them to get into the routine.
Okay, that little ditty.
Yeah. So Chris, does that mean they'd be penalized then if they did not provide one?
Yes, that's in the deductions. Yes, we've been trying to follow this for a number of years, and we haven't been really aggressive about making them do it. And this is the year that if they do not hand them in, then they need to, they will get deducted. We do suggest, when I'm talking about communications, I do suggest to kids that maybe take a picture of it on their phone, just in case they do forget it, then they can show you on their phone that they have done it. And you could have some blank sheets there for them to fill in. However, a lot of people are against having any blank sheets there because they say at this point they should be doing it themselves.
And
I'm
that's
not even that tough at provincial level.
district,
I had some blank
district and
ones
up,
there.
right?
And
Like,
I'm not either.
club doesn't
Yeah.
matter, right?
Yeah.
No. So Donna, that is under member requirements, and then you go to communication. And that's where this is. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Does anybody want to talk judges or ask questions about judges or?
Can I just clarify, that you did say that they have to have a quote sheet regardless if they have a quote or not?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question as well, regarding the quote sheets. Do we give them to the judges to see them and do the deductions, or the people that are tallying up are the only guys that see it and they do the deductions at the end?
They do not give it to the judges. They hand it to the committee that's putting the event on, and they will be the ones to check it. The judges do not give any deductions. The only people that do that is the organizing committee.
Yeah, because that could potentially influence their judging, correct?
That's right. And when I hand them back, I just hand them back with their comment sheets so that they do make sure that they get it back.
Can I just ask a clarification question on those deductions then? In previous years, the judges do their own score sheets. And then as a host, I've gone up and said to them as they're tallying up those score sheets, please use these deductions for XYZ child. And they add them up and then rank them on their tally sheet for second, third. That's the only time they don't know maybe what the member got the deduction for. They just know that the member got 5 points or 10 points deducted, whether it's time faults or other deductions. Is that not how we're supposed to be doing that?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we don't tell them in advance, but they still haven't scored. Yeah. Still kind of in advance of them making their rankings, right?
You do it the same time as you're giving them time faults.
Does anybody have any other questions that they want to ask? Like I said, about judges.
I have a question about judges and utilizing judges for different levels of 4-H. So club, district, regional. And we've been told that you do not utilize any judge that has even heard the member speak. So they could be judging a senior at club level, but they have heard at the intermediate speech and you can't utilize them now at district. Is that correct?
Chris, are you going to answer that?
Oh, no, I was waiting for you to answer that.
Oh.
Sorry. It probably would be best if they didn't, because they already, usually the judges are concentrating on their own age group. They're not really hearing what the other groups are. And so if you're really, really stuck, that probably is okay. But I try not to. At each level, I try to have a different number of years of experience. So at your club level, I often try to get in maybe some alumni or some seniors that have left and come back to get them to judge at club level. And then once you get into district and zones, you want somebody that's had, you know, at least a couple of years experience. And by the time they get to regionals, then you want them to have 2 or 3 years. I know that's difficult. And in a small community, it's really hard because, you know, you'll have many clubs and zones and everything, all using the same judges. We try in our district, Wetaskiwin district, we have certain judges that those are the only ones we ask for district. And then for regional judges, we have some that have a lot more experience. And we all know the clubs not to touch those ones. So.
Do you have any tips or suggestions when you are hosting a district competition? In our district, we have different clubs assigned to supply judges so that we kind of split it up over the jurisdiction. What we all should be understanding that you want some experience when you get to district and regional level. Do you have any tips and suggestions for when those clubs send you newbie judges to a district competition? How do you, like, I mean, you're trying to cram how to judge in 10 minutes or 15 minutes before the competition. Do you have any tips?
I would say that whoever the district organizing committee is, ask for those judges, the list of judges well ahead, and ask how much experience they have. And if it's somebody that's brand new, then I maybe would suggest, is there someone else that we could get instead that has a little bit more experience?
For the judges, especially when you're bringing on new judges, oftentimes they'll ask us for like a meeting ahead of time for how to judge, like a crash course. Is there any YouTube videos in that would be, that have already been created and done as like a good how-to for new judges?
I believe there is one in the YouTube series, isn't there, Tracy?
I think that's one of the things that we were talking about maybe doing.
Oh, right.
yet,
That's right.
Chris.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't think there really, there isn't one yet. I'm just looking here.
I thought I saw it, but I know that you and I talked about it this summer. We just ran out of time with everything else.
Yeah.
I do ask all of my judges to come at least a half an hour before, and I do go over the judges' things a little more so they understand. One thing you'll notice is that in the judges' organization package or that we send out, orientation package, we've taken out a lot of things so that we find that judges get overwhelmed if there's too much to read. So we took out anything that was not pertaining to what they actually do. They don't need to know about the times for impromptus and time faults and all those things. It's only about a 3-page sheet with the information, and then it gives a sample of all of the different sheets that you will need. So that helps because they can concentrate just on what they need to know to do judging.
Okay, somebody just asked me where to find the new rules. So I'm going to share my screen and I'll go slow so you can see it. So you can see this is the home page of the website. And you go to the resources and down to downloads. And then in your downloads, you go to the public speaking or the presentations. And that's where your rules are. They're right in the middle, public speaking rules and guidelines. And the same for the presentations. All right, does that, and I can share the YouTube link, you bet I can. That is a tricky sucker, and I actually have it.
It is.
I actually have it starred because I could never find it when I needed to.
There is lots of good 4-H Alberta stuff when you just type in 4-H Alberta, but there's also a few weird things that come up.
Yes, there is. Yeah, there's the link for the YouTube channel. Another suggestion too about when you get your judges congregated for a district or a regional level is to just do a short Zoom with them maybe. If you've got anybody that's new or unsure, like even just a 15-minute Zoom that they can ask questions and you can go through kind of what's going on. I do that with the provincial level judges and it just makes the day go a little bit smoother and not, no apprehension, because I actually at provincial level we will get the odd judge that has never judged it. So is there any other questions anybody might have?
Is 4-H looking at better defining presentations, going back to what was traditionally a presentation and something such as like more of these PowerPoint where it might be more of an illustrated talk and making a third category?
Heather, I see you on here. Maybe you want to talk to that we've talked a little bit about it, but.
And I'm sorry, I zoned right out of that one. What was the question again? It's been a long
question. The question was, traditionally presentations are totally different from what now is what more of the members are doing, which is kind of, I don't know, we refer to it as kind of an illustrated talk. Is 4-H Alberta looking at making a third category for that?
So you heard Tracy talk at the beginning about Mr. Cameron and how he usually ran public speaking before we had the committee. And that was one of the last events that he hosted at a leaders meeting. They were in talks about doing that, breaking out presentations and illustrated talks. And we are still talking about that because they are two vastly different animals. The traditional presentation is quite different than an illustrated speech or an illustrated talk with the PowerPoint. It hasn't happened yet, but it's something that is currently being discussed at the communication committee level. Does that, it's a non-answer, but does that, it's in discussion still.
So Jennifer, I don't know if you know who your rep is, but it would be really good. What area are you from?
I believe our rep is Kathy Botten. We're in the Peace.
Yeah. Yeah. So to talk to Kathy so that she could bring that forward would be awesome.
I will definitely do that.
I do think the more that we talk about that, the sooner it probably will happen. If there's more recognition of a need for it at club level.
It won't happen until next year, any decision.
Yeah, yeah, but we'll be discussing it for then.
Yeah,
I definitely see a need for that category, having been a judge myself, put on lots of events, and my members have done both the traditional speech, prepared speech, and the real presentation, the traditional presentation, and also more the illustrated talk. And being a judge, it would be so much easier to separate it out. So I will definitely bring it forward.
And I would certainly support Jennifer's comment. I know for myself, finding judges for club and district level, there's a lot of very good presentation judges that will no longer judge because they find it incredibly difficult to judge those two vastly different things against each other. And so they've just stepped back, and it makes it very difficult We seem to just get judges trained or educated and kind of on board. And they're like, wow, that's too hard. I'm going to just do speeches or I'm not judging at all.
That's a good point to bring up. Thank you.
I think it's really important to remember that the entire purpose of communications is to see how they communicate. So that's one of the things that we've done at our district in reminding our judges that at the end of the day, it's about who's the better speaker. Because you're right, they're so hard to judge against each other because they're so different. And the marking sheet breaks it down by like categories of type of speech, right? Or of type of presentation, like how they're presenting it. And that helps. So if you kind of lead them back to the score sheet where it says like your voice and your intonation and your pronunciation and those things are all still going to be comparable between a talk and a regular presentation.
Somebody asked, what is the difference between a presentation and an illustrated talk? And I cannot tell you. So there must be somebody here that could.
The one is, I was just trying to type it in for her, but I'm very slow typing. A demonstration is something where the member is actually doing something with their hands. They're showing you how to bake cookies, or they're showing you how to groom something or whatever. And an illustrated talk uses video clips, PowerPoint, those kinds of things. Electronic devices to help them with it.
Again, I don't mean to interject. The way I explain it to my kids is a presentation, you're making something. You're taking A plus B and you're making a C. An illustrated talk is a public speech with a prop. Whether that prop is a slideshow or a ski, because you're showing me how to wax skis, it's still a prop.
But I would consider if you're showing how to wax skis,
yeah, me too.
That would be a demonstration. They're demonstrating something.
Yeah, the way we kind of look at it is that an illustrated talk is like a speech through the computer with pictures, it's a speech. So you're telling a story about something else. You're not showing, you're not doing anything yourself. You're standing there and just speaking. So that's why it's more of a speech than a demonstration.
That's right.
Yeah, we've always told our kids essentially demonstration, you have a finished product, and your speech you don't, right? Or your illustrated talk you don't. But just
that's right.
I like the idea of splitting it into 3 categories, but I think just around the conversation with it though too, we'd have to look at the fact that then you're asking districts and clubs and that for another set of 9 judges, which we know judges are hard to get. So I think that's something too that really needs to be thought about before we just move ahead with splitting them apart into a third.
Yeah, or you kind of dates to try to get all of that. Right now it's tight, you know, from clubs to get it to districts and zones and regional and then to provincial. It's very tight. And by adding in another competition would be difficult for some areas.
My suggestion would be to put the illustrated talks with the speakers rather than with the presenters. The presenters typically are longer time frames as well. And with the moving of everything back and forth, it does actually take longer to judge them. With the illustrated talk though, question, are they still required to ask a question or invite a question from the judges?
At the end, yes, one question.
Yeah, I would say they should avoid that as well. They should be more like speeches.
Well, the judges...
They're not a speech, though.
Yeah, and the judges talk about them among themselves, and only one judge will give a question. And it's usually pretty generic. So...
I think these are all really good points, but please remember that this is not changing this year. It all stays the same. So like somebody just asked, so for this year, our illustrated talks judges a presentation, demonstration, or as a speech. They're the same as they have been before. So it's a presentation demonstration.
Yeah, that's right.
We were always told in our region that if you're doing a presentation with PowerPoint, you have to think, will that presentation be as effective if the power went off? If your slides are only up there to give a picture and you're not interacting with those slides, then basically you're just a speech. But if you're interacting with those slides and showing things on those slides that are pertinent to what you're saying, then that's definitely a presentation.
Good point, Sylvia. Somebody asked a question about judges there, Tracy.
Yeah. You know what? Getting judges, how many you want, all depends on how long you want to sit there, is how I look at it. And so if you have 20 members to speak and you only want to get 6 judges, then 3 can do your impromptus and 3 can do your speeches. But if you want to, I always would look at the ratio of juniors, intermediates, and seniors and see how it works out in order to make that day flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They should be in 3s and they should not converse with each other for sure. All right. If there's no other questions, that's all that I have. And like I said, if you have any questions about any communications or you're having trouble, please don't please contact me at the program's email. I'll type it in here, or you can find my email on the website too. And I will, I'll involve probably your regional rep if we need to, or we can just handle it on our own. All right.
Can I ask one more question? Sorry, this comes from our region. So last year there was some concern around content of our speeches being presented. I think a letter did go to the committee. Because our regional rep didn't attend the meetings, we're not sure what happened with it. But did you guys receive that, and was there something determined on what to do with it? This basically, it was an issue that was saying members or senior members are picking topics of, as they should be, of deep concern sometimes. Let's say it was abortion. And of course, some in the room may not agree with that, or younger members, or parents don't want younger members to hear about it. And so the concern was around topics and monitoring those topics and younger kids, and should any topic still be allowed or should we not? I don't know. I know this is going to be brought up at our regional meeting on Saturday, so.
We did talk about this as a group, as a committee a while ago, because this was brought up to us concerns. And what we came up with that we really can't censor our seniors from talking about anything they feel strongly about. But what we can do is that before their speech begins, just give a warning that this speech has some topics that might be uncomfortable for younger people, and those people can leave. And then come back when the speech is done. That's probably the best way of doing it, is asking your MC to give them a warning. It's really unfair of us to not let seniors talk about things that they're passionate about and current events, because they're getting older, especially our older seniors. So that's the best way of dealing with it, is making sure that they prepare you, letting you know, and then you have your MC give a warning.
That was my response to it, but I just wanted to make sure there was nothing that we missed in a discussion you may have had.
And Jocelyn, did we get any heads up from the district when the seniors spoke on it at district level?
No.
Because we're supposed to get an idea kind of what their topics are, right? So we don't pick impromptu topics that run in the same gene.
Yeah.
So we should have known that one was coming, and for some reason we didn't know that one was coming, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the district did, but regardless, I just wanted to see if there was something that was brought up by the committee that maybe didn't come down to our region regarding.
I think as a region, we should talk about that on Saturday and just say district responsibility is to address any sensitive topics up to the regional committee.
Every concern that we received last year, I've got pages and pages of them. We did, I know I did. I kept every one of them because they were all good information and we discussed every one of them. So, and we encourage you to please give them to us this year as well so that we can address them and talk about them. If we have several people bringing up the same concern, then it really definitely needs to be addressed. So, and that was one that we did talk about to some extent. Yeah.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And like I said, just wanting to make sure we got the right follow-up to follow through back on. And I totally agree. Just, giving people a heads up in advance. And if they choose to leave the room, they can just leave the room. But
yep.
So Carrie Lee, you asked if you want to group those together. For sure, you as an organizing committee, you do what you feel is right.
I have another question. Is it appropriate or acceptable to run together both a competitive and a non-competitive communications day within a club?
I would say yes.
So we can give that option for those members who do not want to participate in the actual competitive part and move on to districts and so on and so forth, but still get up and be able to be judged and looked at and listened to, but be in a different kind of category for that.
Some clubs put them at the end of their competition so that gives extra time for the judges to do their marking and figuring out of things. And some people feel it takes up too much time of the competitive if they have a large number of members. And so then they have those kids doing their speeches at a club meeting or something, some other time. You don't have to have a whole separate event just for that. But if you do choose to, it might be a good idea to put them at the end of all of the competitive kids so that those judges have some extra time.
Yeah,
but
that's
also,
what I'm wondering. This year our club has 42 members, and I'm sure not everyone wants to actually compete for the district level.
No, so I wouldn't have them on the same night because your competition must be really, really lengthy.
Yeah. It's always
it starts at about 8:30 on most communication days and ends around 5 p.m.
Woo.
Wow, it's a marathon.
Poor judges. Because even though they're not judging, they're sitting there all that time. So I would not have them with your competitive, but that's what I would do. There's no rule. That's up to you.
Do you split your presentations in the morning and then your speeches in the afternoon, or are the kids there the whole day?
Our kids are there the whole day, and we
support each other.
Yeah, we try not to overwhelm judges, so they're all split into different categories, like so that we're not running one set of judges right next to the other all the way through. And we stop for 2 coffee breaks and a lunch.
Yeah.
Jennifer, if it helps, growing up, we had a huge club as well. I think there was about 70 kids. So that's a super long day. And we would actually rent rooms at the local college or school, and they did usually for free because it was a school. And then we would the hardest part was getting enough judges, but we'd have like junior speeches in a room, intermediate speeches in a different room, all going at the exact same time, which is hard for parents because if you have a kids in multiple categories, you're kind of bouncing around. And it kind of sucks because then the kids can't always see all the age groups because it's nice to see, different groups. But at the same time, 70 kids, you've got to do something to get the day done quicker.
When our district was really large, we did seniors on Friday night, and then we did juniors Saturday morning, and then as the intermediate Saturday afternoon.
For the last number of years, even before COVID, in my club, I've done three options for my members. So those kids that will quit 4-H before they have to stand in front of a group of people and say peep, I do them before or after a club meeting with a parent, myself, and another leader in the room. And they just have to do their speech or their presentation, whatever they choose. We give them feedback and criticism. The other two go on the same day, so they can either choose the competitive track or non-competitive. A lot of kids sometimes will choose non-competitive because they know they can't go to the district competition because of hockey or dance or life. So they do the same thing as everybody else. The day of our competition, they get feedback from the same judges, just like everybody else does. Just at the top of their score sheet or their judge's comment sheet, I write non-competitive so that my judges know to not place them, because those kids are never going to go on. I find if we place kids that know they can't go on to a district communication and they win, then I go to my second place child and say, okay, well, little Johnny can't go to districts. Would you like to go? And more often than not, those kids have looked at me and said, well, I couldn't even win my club. Why would I go on to districts?
Yeah.
Right.
Good strategy.
Yeah. Carrie Lee, do you have a comment?
Yes, I just had to find the unmute button. What we've done in our club is we have a non-competitive kids day, and we actually have the kids listen to the other kids speaking and give them feedback. So it is still a group thing. So our kids get up and they speak to each other, illustrated talks quite frequently. And then the kids actually give feedback. They're supposed to give one positive comment and one, hey, maybe you should think about this. So that's one of the ways, because most of our kids have no desire to go on in competition.
Yeah. That's that's about half of our 4-H kids, I think.
I think that's a wonderful idea, though, by using members, because then you're also training judges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we go, I had one other thing that we had done in a club for cleavers, because we had a few little people that really wanted to participate, but maybe they couldn't actually read yet to do a formal speech with cue cards. We had a judge, they would tell them to bring something with, like a Barbie doll or a dinosaur or whatever, and they could just talk about it. And there was no plan on time or anything. Most of the kids are pretty quick anyways, so you don't have to worry. But it was nice that they got the confidence to get up there, but they could talk about whatever they like. And we just did it at a meeting. And there was no obligation, they didn't have to, but it gave them an outlet and kind of early training to get them excited.
Great. It's good to brainstorm with one another. I know we don't get that chance to do that, so it's awesome when we can brainstorm with everybody here.
As for the cleavers, we do little mini interviews. They get up there with their cleaver leader and they get to sit on a stool and speak in front of the microphone, and they do a little question and answer period in between times when the judges need some of that downtime. And the cleavers get pretty excited about being able to share about their 4-H year to everybody who was willing to listen.
Good.
All right.
I just have a quick question about the members, and I'm sorry if I haven't read the new rules to see if there's something in there already. When we have speakers that end their presentation or speech with thank you, are the judges expected to mark that as a deduction of some kind or consider of that as a deduction of some kind?
Well, judges don't do deductions, remember?
Oh, right. Sorry. But in their minds, should they, right.
And some judges do put that in their comment sheets, and that may lower the score that they choose to give that member. So yes, we still encourage members not to
say
that,
thank you.
but we don't have any deductions. Like, it's not in the rules, and it does affect the judge's score sometimes.
Thank you.
I can't remember, Chris, but it's probably in in the judges orientation package. It does say 4-H members do not end their speech with thank you. They're taught to think of the speech as a gift to the audience. So All right. That's perfect. We're just short of an hour, which is great. And I hope everybody has a good weekend and you have successful communication events.